Hello and welcome once more to Dul Johnson's Creative Talks. I hope that you were with me in the previous video, but if you were not, I especially welcome you. If you are a new person, then it's a very, very special welcome for you. In the last video, I had mentioned the fact that I was going to be discussing the dramatic storytelling form, and that's what I intend to do. Now, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And if you do have any comments or questions, please put them in the box below and I will attend to you. Any other question, even outside the topic I'm discussing, you can put them there as long as it is creative writing. I'm going to help you out. So, I have chosen, for good reason, the world's, and it is not me that crown him the world's greatest dramatist. The literary world tells us that Shakespeare is the greatest playwright and dramatist. And I think that is very true based on what I have read of him. So I have decided that I'm going to discuss two of his plays, as I said in the introduction. In this episode, I'm going to discuss Hamlet. The two plays I'm going to discuss are tragedies, and I'm picking Hamlet as the first to discuss. Now, Hamlet is an interesting story. And as I explained, dramatic stories do not spend a lot of time bringing you activities that stretch like you are rolling out a folded mat, right? Or a folded carpet, right? It looks for the meat. It looks for the key actions. One of the things that film script writers do, which I think they must have learned from the dramatic writers, because dramatic writers came first, is the need to get into a story when it is hottest. Get into the scene when it is hottest and leave before it gets cold. I've also shared that statement in previous videos, but this is simply what it means. If you spend too much time, explaining things, bringing activities that don't help the story, people will get bored. So go for what actually dives into the action. Now, so let me give you a summary of the story, and then we'll go into why we're actually dealing with this story. Because the reason for all of these reviews is, what do we learn from the stories? The point is that stories are a source of education. We get wisdom from stories. We become conscious of who we are and what the world is and what we can do to improve not only our lives, but the lives of people around us, the world in which we live. That's the reason we read stories. And my encouragement to people who want to come into writing is to know why they are going into writing. When you choose a subject to write about, make sure that there is something to share with the world, with your reading population. So that's the point. So I've chosen the text that I'm going to discuss for what they have to offer us. So we're going to Hamlet. Now, Hamlet, the summary of the story is simply this. A king, the king of Denmark, is killed, is murdered, and the ghost of the king, who is old Hamlet or senior Hamlet, his son, who is the main character, is also Hamlet. So the king is dead. The ghost of the dead man appears to guards, in the palace, and tell the guards to tell Hamlet that he has been murdered and wants his son to revenge the murder. Now, that's a tough one. And then, of course, Hamlet is informed that the ghost of his father has appeared and asked for him to revenge the murder. And who is the murderer? It is his brother, who has taken the wife, who is Hamlet's mother, as wife. And this happened as soon as the king died. In Africa, I think there would have been not just war, probably the whole clan would have gone to kill the person who took over the wife of her brother maybe weeks after the death of the person. So Hamlet wants to be sure that it is the ghost of his father that is talking. And he and those guards actually stay out the night. And the ghost comes actually and appears to Hamlet and tells him that he has been brutally murdered by his uncle, that is young Hamlet's uncle, who, and his name is Claudius, who has taken that young Hamlet's mother as his wife. Now, the fact that the marriage has been very hasty would actually suggest that the allegation is true. So Hamlet wants to kill the king, but he has doubts in his mind. So he wants more concrete proof. But first, he actually takes a decision to kill the king. But he enters where the king is, and he discovers that the king had knelt down and was praying. Now, you see, that's a cultural aspect that we may not want to even go into yet. He decided, I mean, you would think it's the most convenient moment to kill the man. But he tells himself, no, if I kill this man now, he is going to go to heaven, and I want to dispatch him to hell. Well, why would it be his own problem? He should allow God to decide where the man would go. But he thought that he was going to do the man a favor. So he didn't kill him. And then he, of course, devises a means to find out whether indeed what the ghost has said is true. He starts behaving like a crazy fellow. And this, of course, becomes a cause of concern for both the king and his wife. And the looking for ways to, get him out of the scene. But he is behaving in such a way that he is behaving so that he can see their reaction and to tell whether they are guilty or not. And indeed, it is a good way to do it. So he gets people, a team of players, actors who had come to perform in that town. And he, along with them, scripts a play which mimics exactly what the ghost has told him, right? So the play is now talking about a king who killed his brother who was the king and married his wife hastily and stuff like that. Now, before that performance, the king himself, having noticed, and the queen, having noticed that Hamlet is somehow aware of what has happened and is really going to take, probably kill the king or going to kill the king for what he has done. They decided to plot his death. Okay, there are many other characters. I won't have to tell the entire story. So they plot his death. And so, of course, when the play finishes and Hamlet is very sure now, that this is a reality. What the ghost has told me to do, I think is the right thing, or is the truth that my uncle killed my father. Now, so there is an arrangement for a duel to take place between Hamlet and his late girlfriend's brother. And the brother, because of Hamlet's behavior to the girlfriend, she committed suicide because she thought Hamlet didn't love her again. And for that reason, the brother had also become an antagonist to Hamlet. So the king and queen use it now as, an easy way to get them to fight. Okay, it's not necessarily a fight to kill, but they had poisoned the knives that they were going to use so that Hamlet will be killed. Now, in the fight, of course, Hamlet gets injured. Hamlet kills Laertes, who is late girlfriend's brother. But having seen that he had been injured, he uses the knife that he has to stab the king, Polonius, who dies. His mother, there is poisoned drink, which if Hamlet did not die in the process, he was to be served the drink to kill him, or to take his life. The mother mistakenly takes that drink and downs it. And so at the end of the day, everybody is dead. Now, if you were to read that play, you will see where the real problem lies. As human beings, you see, sometimes we think we are wise, and sometimes our wisdom is our undoing. So, when Hamlet was plotting to kill the king, he himself was quite afraid of death, because if he killed the king, he could be killed, or he had to kill himself, right? So, and he was also thinking, if he kills the king, he will be giving him rest, right? If he dispatches the king, thinking he should go to hell, he may not go to hell instead, because the man is murdered. So, in other words, if I kill somebody, I am going to be the one that will take his guilt away. and so he may well go to heaven. So he keeps prevaricating, right, to take a firm decision on what to do. He couldn't. And so he now had to go up setting all those tests to see whether there was a need to do it or not to do it. Now, if you're in Africa, we would say if you are man enough, if you want to do something, make up your mind, go ahead and do it. If you do not feel up to doing it, forget it. Leave it to God himself. So this doubt in his mind is the problem that actually caused all the tragedy leading to the death of everyone else. If he had killed, he actually killed even the girlfriend's father, Polonius, in the process, because he had entered a room where Polonius was doing something. He heard a noise and he thought it was the king. So he went with the knife and he stabbed like curtains, right? The man is behind curtains. He thrashes the knife, the dagger in, and of course the person inside is not the king he wanted to kill. So already he has committed one murder for which he could be going to hell. So perhaps it was a moment for him to retrace his steps and say, okay, let me ask for forgiveness. If it is from the Christian perspective that he looked, at the idea or at the choice of whether killing the man or not killing the man, or whether he will be going to hell, whether God will be punishing him for it. If you had those thoughts, why not withdraw and ask God for forgiveness? But he would go this direction and back here, go this direction and back here. So at the end of the day, the doubts. Now, the other aspect of the ghost, when they told him that it is the ghost of his father, and he insisted on getting a confirmation from the ghost itself, and the ghost actually appeared, why did he have to start questioning the ghost? So you see, it's as simple as, if you are not up to doing something, forget it. Doubt is the greatest enemy in our lives. And if you are going to take a decision and there is a doubt, maybe it's wisest to just leave it. But to go forth, back, is a terrible weakness. This is what we call a tragic flaw in the character, and it's usually what the main character in a tragedy suffers. There is something in you that you have not been able to deal with, and so it becomes the cause of your destruction. And we should all be mindful of that as human beings. If there is a flaw in you, if there's that kind of flaw in you, if there's a tragic flaw in you, if there's a weakness in you that you know is your weakness, before you go to take any action, think very well and probably consult that problem of yours. And maybe you would tell yourself, no, I'm not going to go into this action, rather than go and then have it cause my own downfall and even my death. So my advice to you all, my dear readers, the lesson that we're learning from Hamlet the drama is simply that we need to make up our minds pretty well before we decide to take on any action. Now, you see, as a lesson, why drama has an advantage over other literary storytelling forms is the fact that it gives that message to a live audience as a huge block of people. So imagine in a theater, there are 1,000 people, and they get this message at once, and they leave the theater talking about it, right? Of course, everybody would have learned a lesson, shared a lesson, and they go home and they talk about it. It's literally the same thing that happens in film theaters. So that's just one bit that the film theater and the performance theater, drama theater would have in common. But in terms of storytelling formats, of course, there's a difference. Maybe I can talk about it some other time. So let's think about it. If we have a decision to take, if you want to be Christian like Hamlet, pray first, make up your mind before you move into action. Don't touch here, come back, touch here, come back, and at the end of the day, you are neither here nor there, right? It is dangerous. Okay, so I'll leave you with this message, and again, thank you for being a part of this show, being a wonderful audience, and I ask you to subscribe and share as widely as you can. Thank you, and bye-bye.